Hey friends, this is Marilyn from tarotclarity.com. I'd like to start this video with a big shout out to CB for her super sticker for my birthday, and I appreciate it. Thank you very much, CB. And I'd like to also thank everyone who reached out regarding my most recent reading. So thank you, everyone. It's escalated. Unfortunately, it has. I'll just tell you this, and then we'll move on and we'll do something else. But as a preemptive move, I contacted all my siblings, with the exception of Manny, because he doesn't have a phone in his room and there's no way for her to find him. But I have other siblings and then all my children. I just sent out a text. I gave them her phone number. I said, please block this phone number from your phones. And if she does manage to get through to you, please do not give her any of my information, where I live in particular. And my brother responded, my one brother responded saying, this person has already contacted me. Now, my birthday was on the 14th, which was the day she was frantically trying to get a hold of me. And he got the call by the 15th or the 16th, looking for me. He didn't answer it. He didn't, and he said, thank you for letting me know. I won't, let her get through, and I won't give her any information. So she's tenacious. My brother lives 3 hours away in a different state. So there's that. Anyway, keep me and my family in prayer. Put a protective thing over us, and I'd appreciate that. The thing I'm scared about is that one day I'll be playing in the front yard with my grandchildren and she'll show up, and some, she's not playing with a full deck, and I think sometimes that's, it's the people who aren't playing with full decks who, in acts of their desperation in their minds, they do crazy things. So I'm a little worried. Anyway, let's move on to brighter topics and a fun. Oh, by the way, due to the generosity of those of you who give me thumbs up and subscribed in recent weeks, I've earned a few more dollars from YouTube, and I received, as I mentioned, a super sticker, which just put me over the threshold for being able to afford another deck. So there will be a new deck on the horizon, probably either tomorrow or Monday. You'll see the video because I'll showcase it now. I'll give you this warning. Not that it's a warning, but it's a deck that has been out for 4 years. So everybody and their mother-in-law has already showcased this deck. So I don't know what more I could say about this deck that hasn't already been said. Plus, I've showcased it in the videos I've done on it in a different color. There's a big clue, right? Think of the decks that I have that come in different colors or different color combinations, and then you'll know that I have another one of those. Somebody had mentioned, I forget who it was, but you know who you are, that said, I have a darker deck that is really good for the questions that are a little on the shady, not shade. I don't want to use words that the person didn't use, but my understanding of what she said was that she has a vampire deck that she uses to take on the questions or the situations that have a sinister kind of edge. And that's exactly why I bought this particular deck, because I felt like I needed a deck like that. And I think this deck will serve that purpose. Oh, and I want to give you a public service announcement, which I think many of you will find very helpful. In trying to protect myself, I've blocked this individual from my phone, which is a cell phone. But some people have landlines, which are easier to find people. My brother, who received a phone call from her, she called him on his land phone. So there's the old school technology of calling. I don't know if there's the information phone number still out there. but she found his phone number and his landline, not his cell, but his landline. And so I started like thinking, oh my gosh, I have to get serious. I have to block her in any way. So I've blocked, she has about 5 or 6 different Facebook pages I've observed. So I've blocked all of them. I've also blocked my email address, so she can't reach me through Google. There were a few places, in addition to what I mentioned, that I've blocked her. And then I found this place called Spokeo, where when I put my name in to see what popped up, this website called Spokeo, Spokeo, will offer people your information, cell phone numbers, email addresses, house location, for a fee. Now, I don't know if she's willing to spend $35 or whatever it costs to find me, but in case she does, I was like, I got to get my name and address and all that, my information off of that. So I did some Google searches about how to get my name off of Spokeo. So for those of you who want to know how, get a pen and write this down. You go to the Spokeo page where your information pops up. You copy the URL. Then you scroll to the very bottom of the page because they don't really want you to find this, and you go to privacy. Then you click on privacy, and then you scroll to the very bottom of that page because they don't want you to find this, and they have a little highlighted tab that says opt out. So you click that. When you click that, it asks you, put your URL that you want to hide. So from the URL you copied, you put that in the space that they provide. And then you give them your email where they can verify that you did this. So you click it, and then you get a message in the email that says it'll take a couple of days, but your information will be withdrawn. Do it. You never know. In this day and age, people are nuts, and you never know what somebody is thinking, or somebody's motivated to spend money to find you. Another thing in the United States, and I can't speak on other countries, is that when a house is up for sale, the realtors will blast it on every real estate page what your house looks like. Every door, every window, every room. That's great. It's helpful to sell the house. But when your house is sold, nobody removes that. Okay? So the pictures stay up. If they take 30 pictures of your house, they've got 30 pictures out there of the interior of your home. So a few months ago, that disturbed me, and not because of her, but it just disturbed me in general. And I did what it took. It was very complicated. It took a lot. But I got my address, my home that I purchased with my husband, off of every one of those realtor sites, and there was a dozen of them. But I contacted every last one of them, and I said, remove my home photographs. I think they won't take away that they sold your home or what it cost or what your taxes are or whatever. They keep a picture of the front of your home up, but all the interior shots and the background, the backyard photographs and stuff gets removed. So there are a lot of ways that we have to protect ourselves because there are a lot of ways that we don't even think about that make our lives vulnerable to people who mean harm. So safety first. Think of all the ways that are out there. There's so many. And eliminate your availability to people who might do harm. Okay, I decided to use the Golden Tarot of Marseille because I need a little bling. Now, we've discussed this before. The Tarot of Marseille never had gold leafing on it. It never would have. This one does. I'm just picking up the random top card, So there, you see there's a lot of bling on the card. It's flashy, it's trashy, and I love it. What can I say? This one was put out by Scarabeo, and it's simply called the Golden Tarot of Marseille. It's a fun deck. Why not? Okay. I think I came up with a question. You know, with what is going on, particularly in this country, and it affects the world, but it affects us at ground zero, especially if we live in blue states, because there's retaliation now against us, right? You know, so I mean, the people are standing up, and we're showing up in numbers, but it doesn't make the news, really. It just it doesn't make the news. And there's a lot of people who are really stressed out. So I want to see what effect, long-term effect, you know, whose influence, how far-reaching it will be, and what will the level of damage be to the American psyche. I think that's a thing, and it could be part of what's making everybody a little off kilter. We all have to find our inner peace, and but that doesn't mean it doesn't do some damage, because it affects everybody. It affects just about every person you contact for business or friendship or going to the shopping center or anything. People are affected in one way or the other regarding you know who, and all the ridiculous policies that are being thrown out as, you know, as camouflage for the fact that those files exist. He's in the files. And everything is just a distraction. But it's costing, you know, it's costing us in our mental health. So I'd like to see what the far-reaching effects will be of on our psyches. Okay, just on our psyches. And that's it. I think for clarity's sake, we'll just do 3 cards and a quint card for this. The long-term effects on our psyche, you know. I mean, it's happening now, but I think it will linger. I think it will linger for a while. 2 swords. Could be seen in a positive or negative light. It could be clashes of agendas. Yeah, what's the word I'm thinking of? A clash of priorities, ideology, clashes of ideology. Everybody's trying to keep sacred what they believe, what they think. You know, it's like we're not allowed to think against him. We get arrested, you know. It's getting dangerous. It's getting to the, like, I'm glad that I've always resisted saying names in my videos, because it won't be long. Okay, we have the Page of Coins. Well, it could represent our youth, the young people in our lives, the next generation. It may affect how the next generation thinks or sees things. You know, let's see what they're turning their back on. 5 coins. Let's do the quints. So we have 2 and 5 is 7. And that is the Chariot. And hopefully I don't have to go too far. But of course we do. I want to point out, I've shown this deck many times and I've pointed this out, but notice the gold leaf and the little designs in the gold leaf. It's just so swell. Now this deck emulates the Burdel, the Swiss Burdel deck, which is a charming deck already. I mean, you don't have to do much to improve on the Burdel. It's a lovely deck. I love the Swiss influence, but just adding the gold bling that has texture. I mean, you could feel it. It's a textured background, so it's kind of nice. Anyway, of course, the Chariot's going to be like the last card. But every now and then it's nice to peruse a deck so you can see it. I have almost 700 public videos under my belt, but I know most of you probably have not seen them. That's an awful lot of videos to watch. And there it is. So you may not have seen me showcase this deck in the past or anything like that. So. Oh, wait. Yeah, 7. Okay. So, what have we here? You know what I'm fearful of is that the youth will turn their back on the impoverished. Now, it could be that they turn their back on people with money, people who try to buy us with money. But it looks like this young generation, this youth, has taken a coin or a page from this book, and he's taking it into a new ideology. And then the Chariot suggests moving forward or success with movement in that direction. So I think what I'm seeing here is that the long-term effects will definitely play on the psyche of the youth who may or may not reject wealth, or it remains to be seen if they too will, feel like it seems like they'll take a page from that book and have it become part of their dogma or their ideology. Oh. So I think the risk is that the way it affects our young people, and it remains to be seen which way they go with it. But they do move forward with it. And it has to do with the well-being. Because it's a 5, it's an uneven number of the suit of coins and well-being. So lessons learned from the well-being or lack of well-being toward others, to a new ideology which needs protection. So maybe it's hopeful. Maybe it's hopeful. I hope it's hopeful. Let's do a few more reads, because I like to do readings in 3s when they're small. Okay, so it's sort of along the same lines as the question I asked before. So the answer was it will affect our youth, what they take from it moving forward to form a new ideology. Will it be for the better or the worst, right? Let's get some cards to show whether the new ideology of future generations will be for the better or the worse as a result of who's damage to this country. Far-reaching, and I presume it will last for a long time before countries trust us again. Okay, female pope. Judgment. 6 batons. So we have 2, 22, and 6. I'll be right back. So it will be with the partnerships of other countries. I mean, we're putting this in the context of the question. It could represent how they relate with the loved ones, et cetera, et cetera. But I think in the context of the question and how it will affect, moving forward for the young people, in what ways, I think it will affect partnerships. Now, you would think, like a country like Germany, for example, and there are other countries who've had horrific, terrible events in their countries that were allowed to happen. I always asked, how did that happen in Germany? Well, I guess now I know. Okay. But there's still a faction in Germany that's too close to comfort to wanting that back. And I'm fearful that moving forward, one of the things I understood from seeing that last spread was that moving forward, it will not have been erased. It's a mixed bag. That's how I kind of saw the last read. It was like a mixed bag. It could be seen either way. So it's not a scourge that would be completely erased. Okay? So here, I wanted to see specifically, how it will affect. And I think it will affect relationships. In here we have two sixes here. I know my brain said 22, but I was adding the 2 and the 20. So when I added it up, it was correct, by the way. So I didn't add that as 22, I added that as 20. So we have 2 sixes next to each other. It's just a coincidence that when adding all these up and reducing it, we get the Lover card. But the 2 sixes together shows, community working together, communities working together, people working together for perhaps a common goal, keeping in mind that which went before us, being held accountable for past behaviors, right? And then the papessa, the female pope, kind of throws me a little bit. She's looking away. And if I look at it from another angle where she has a book, right? And it's next to judgment, like she's keeping score. You know what I mean? So there's a tally. And she's maybe going to close the book on it, but it's still in the book. So it's like preserving a secret, or it's preserving an inconvenient truth. But I think moving forward, the hard thing would be for the next generations would be how they manage to, forge new bonds and work together, keeping in mind that this must never happen again. And it's happened here before too. I mean, not just Germany. We've had horrific history here. What was done to the indigenous peoples continues to be done, and what was done, with racism in this country continues. There's been a lot of things that we should have learned from. One of the things we should have learned from in the South was not to concede that they built statues to commemorate who they thought were war heroes who were really traitors to this country. Treasonous people. They were allowed to feel better about themselves by showing pride for having been traitors. So we have a lot to overcome too. And my thinking is that it just can't happen. It just can't be allowed to happen. There can be no concessions. There can be no concessions to wickedness. There can't be. What are the odds? Let's see. What are the odds of wickedness being eradicated from this country? I know it's impossible. My bias is that it's impossible. Let's see if we can eradicate the stain of the orange. Whatever he is. Well, 9 is a number of completion. We might not completely get past him or his stain, but we might get close, working together with a common goal. Another high-ranking card of the same suit, community. Holding him accountable. Yes, accountability. Accountability is key. There can be no peace or moving forward without accountability. So we have 9, 7, and 12. I'll be right back. Well, the Quint card, once again, is the Lover card. So it is about community effort, accountability, partnerships, being on the same page. So here we are. Here we have it. Thank you, everyone, for hanging in there for 25 minutes. If you haven't already given me a thumbs up, please remember to do that for me. It would really help me out. and to subscribe if you aren't already subscribed. It does help this very modest channel. I don't have that many subscribers, but and I'm okay with having a modest group follow me, or follow my channel rather. But it does help with earnings so that I can buy decks. So just keep that in mind, that if you give me a thumbs up and you give me a subscription, it allows me to purchase decks more frequently. Until next time, friends, peace, stay well, be kind, and be brave.